some of the most momentous moments in my life I stumbled into, groping to understand why am I here. I don't know anybody who ever became major in any area of life, not just church, any area of life, who was not propelled by the force of some level of crushing.
Yeah.
Something that could have killed you and should have killed you became the catalyst and the urgency through which you evolved into the highest expression of who you were meant to be. I grew up, my sister who is here in the audience tonight, and I have one sister and one brother. I was the youngest one in my family, a family of 5. My parents migrated here from my parents migrated to West Virginia from Mississippi. My father was from Mississippi, my mother was from Alabama.
Okay.
My mother was an educator and my father was an entrepreneur who started a janitorial service. And we grew up in the 60s in the turbulence, very meager beginnings. In retrospect, I realized they were meager. At the time, I didn't know we were poor. They hid it from us because we were so filled with so many other things more important, like love and loyalty and a sense of connectivity and a family cohesiveness. At this age, my brother and my sister and I still live in the same city.
Do you really?
We're still together.
Still connected?
Yeah, we're still together. My mother, when she was dying, told us to stay together all the way to the end, and we have done that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Your father passed when
My father
you were
passed
young.
early. Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Can you tell about how that happened, what happened, and how that impacted?
I think that probably had more to shape my ministry, had to do with shaping my ministry than anything else. He got sick when I was 10. He was a very big, robust sort of a man, very hardworking, strong work ethic sort of an individual, my superhero of sorts. He got sick, his blood pressure went up to 290 over 280.
Wow.
Shut down his kidneys. He had renal failure. They were in the early stages of dialysis. We were one of the first people in our area to start dialyzing, initially driving back and forth to Cleveland, Ohio. So I grew up in trauma, in crisis. And my mother was driving my father back and forth to Cleveland Clinic twice a week.
Twice a week.
And then we got our own kidney machine. And to be honest with you, I could run a kidney machine and couldn't ride a bicycle.
Well, my goodness. Because you were 10 years old when he was sick?
Yes. Okay. So my whole focus was about taking care of him. And so he lived till I was 16 years old, and then he passed away. And I think it, as tragic as it was, and it was tragic for me, it was traumatic because he died in the confusion of my adolescence. In the turmoil of who am I?
It's hard enough to be a 16-year-old.
Absolutely.
If everything is wonderful.
Yes.
But to have that happening.
Well, when you have that sickness in the home, it becomes the centerpiece of the family. And everything else has to be built around that. And you have to take a subordinate role because of the crisis. So being raised in crisis shaped my perception of what was important. And in some way or another, I have always been taking care of hurting people all my life. And so it is my default setting to go into that zone, whether it is spiritual pain, physical pain. All of my life has been in some way a caretaker. So ending up a shepherd of a church kind of makes sense for me. But it was the absence of my father and the aching void and the deep abyss of my confusion and alienation that created a thirst to find something to fill that chasm that he left. And I think that caused me to have a ravenous approach to God.
How do you explain that it didn't cause you to have a ravenous desire for drugs or for anger or bitterness? I mean, or did
I passed by all of that.
Okay.
Yeah, on the way to Jesus. Yeah.
You waved?
Yeah, I passed by all of that on the way to Jesus. The thing was, there was a call on my life when I passed by those things that was disruptive and disturbing and unrelenting. And I knew that I was here for a reason. I saw glimpses of my future, even before he died as a kid. Going to hear my mother speak, I would tell her, right now, I'm going to hear you speak, and they call me Miss Jake's son. The time will come, you'll come to hear me speak, and they'll call you Tom Jake's mother. But I didn't know I would be a preacher. I just knew, I saw glimpses of myself.
You could see that.
And yes, in front of a crowd and talking to people. I've always been fascinated by people. And I started out in church on the piano, playing for the choir.
Really?
And yeah, God tricked me. I thought I was going to be a gospel artist, but as I grew into the music realm, I noticed that people got more blessed over my introduction than they did my song. And I thought, maybe I need to scoot over a little bit this way, And destiny is something that we grope after. Providence and purpose is something that we see through a very dark glass. And some of the most momentous moments in my life, I stumbled into, groping to understand why am I here, and who am I really? And I think that those questions to me are more important than answers. Whether I come to a text, I never come to a text with what I know. I think that the smartest preacher is the one who comes to the text as a fool. And what comes out of that foolhardy humility is revelation knowledge. If you come to the text too smart, you have a preconceived idea of what it says, and you can't hear revelation because you hear too much information.
That's good.
Yeah,
That's good.
yeah.
You figured you got it all figured out.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I started carrying my Bible when I was in high school.
Did you?
The latter years of high school, and they started calling me a boy preacher.
Did they?
And I was carrying my Bible trying to find, at moments I was trying to find God, and to be honest, at moments I was trying to find my father. And suddenly I realized that they were the same. Yeah, that he was not this supreme being that didn't have the capacity to be intimate, that he could be my father, that I could climb up into his arms, and that I could tell him my deepest, darkest secrets, and that I could trust him. And so relationship with him nurtured me more than religion. So there has always been some friction between religion and relationship. And though I grew up in the church, in a little Baptist church in West Virginia, and then later in a Pentecostal church in my teens, religion never could hide his face from me.
Good.
To the degree that I didn't see relationship as far more fulfilling and satisfying.
Yeah. Does it surprise you that you became a pastor? Looking back?
Yes. Oh, yes. For reasons I won't say on TV. Yeah, you talked about least likely to be in this situation. I mean, I was a terror as a little kid.
But your hometown. If we could somehow go back to the 10-year-old version of you, we wouldn't see no.
Scary, but inquisitive.
Yeah.
I believe that everything we ever become, we already were.
Yeah.
In seed form.
I'm with you.
And the acorns don't look like oak trees, but they're in there.
They're there. The design is in the seed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so when I look back at my DNA and my propensity to lead, and my proclivity to talk, and my fascination with life, my mother used to say that the world is a university and everyone in it is a teacher. When you wake up in the morning, be sure you go to school. And I've been doing that all of my life. Yeah, I've learned from everybody I ever met, good or bad, right or wrong.
Yeah.
I learned something.
You're curious, aren't you?
Oh, extremely.
Curious.
Extremely.
Can you tell us about your mother?
For the rest of the night. I think I get my fight from my mother. My mother was a warrior. My mother graduated from high school when she was 15 years old, grew up in Marion, Alabama, went to school with Coretta Scott King.
Did she?
Yeah, sang in the choir when she knew the Scott family very well. Got out of high school at 15 and did 4 years of college in 3 and came out with a double major and went to do her student teaching in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. Later on, when she was 50, went back and went after her master's in teaching children with learning disabilities. So my mother grew up quoting poetry and prose and poems to us and all of that sort of thing. And she didn't start teaching school until I was of age. And so she went from teaching school to being eventually the Equal Employment Opportunities Representative for the state of West Virginia.
Is that right?
She was smart. She was strong. She did not believe in you giving up and breaking down and letting go. And she took, get yourself together. You know what I mean? And every time, even to this day, every time I feel myself about to give way to the stress and the pressures of my life, I can hear my mother's voice in my head saying, "Get yourself together. Sit up there. Don't you let them throw you over there." You know, she was like a coach. And
Really?
some of that is in my preaching. Sometimes I can hear her voice in my preaching, that relentless tenacity not to allow the vicissitudes of life to overwhelm your soul comes from more than faith in God. It comes from fervor in the human spirit that has been modeled in front of you by the people who went before you. There are so many people sitting in this chair right now, it's a wonder it doesn't fall to the floor. My mother,
You've got a whole
here,
legacy.
My father sitting here, my grandmother, my great-grandmother, my great-great-grandmother who was a slave named Nancy Jakes that I remember. She's sitting in this chair with me.
Really?
My great-great-grandfather, Willie Smiley, whose mother was a slave and died when he was 103 years old, he's sitting here with me too.
Yeah.
I am the sum total of hundreds of people who shaped my life, and they are gone physically, but they all left indentations on my soul.
A whole legacy.
Absolutely. And I think that's true of all of us.
Well, it is.
All of us are the sum total of small deposits that are made by the people who passed by us along the way.
Yeah. I know we're going to get to the book. But I'm still curious. You know, there are people who grew up in a simple background, had their share of challenges, not as many as you, but they had their challenges. And yet they come out angry or bitter, bitter toward God, bitter toward the world. They anesthetize their pain rather than deal with their pain. In your book, Crushing, you talk about how if we believe in a sovereign God, we can see that these are ordained struggles that make us the people that we are.
Right.
Where did you pick up on that? I mean, if you hadn't have known that, Bishop, you might have become bitter.
Some of it came from not being allowed to feel sorry for yourself.
Yeah.
Some of it came from my mother's relentless, tenacious commitment to you standing up. Some of it came through being born. I was born in between two dead babies.
Oh my!
The one before me and the one after me died. I was the one that lived.
Okay.
And so I learned early that life was precious. And then my father died when I was 16.
Yeah.
And that there's nothing like lowering your father in the ground to make you breathe life more deeply, as if you might not have tomorrow.
Right.
Because now you're aware you could possibly not have tomorrow. My greatest birthday was my 49th birthday because he died when he was 48, and when I became 49, I broke the curse. So that was a great thing for me to do that. This whole notion and this fidelity that I have with the scriptures, and particularly with the whole crushing thing, came while I was sitting out on the terrace. I got this word from the Lord that comes to me in the strangest kind of way, that the seed of the woman would bruise the head of the serpent, and the serpent would bruise his heel. And there, sitting out on the terrace, I saw in my spirit the bruised heel of Jesus. And then the next flash, I saw the stained feet of women stomping grapes in the wine press. And the bruised heel of Jesus and the stomping of the feet on the crushing of the grapes brought me to the Passover cup. And he said, this is the New Testament in my blood. Right. And suddenly I recognized his affinity to the grape, that the grape itself would tell us that the only way to extract the most valuable part of the grape was for it to be crushed. And the only way to get the essence of Christ was for him to be crushed. And out of that crushing comes the revelation that crushing is not a destination. You don't get stuck in it. It's transportation. It's transportation. I don't know anybody who ever became major in any area of life, not just church, any area of life, who was not propelled by the force of some level of crushing.
Yeah.
Something that could have killed you and should have killed you became the catalyst and the urgency through which you evolved into the highest expression of who you were meant to be.